All right, so today we're going to be looking at an organelle called the nucleus. It's a very important organelle. It's also a very large organelle. In animal cells, it takes up to 10% of the volume of the cell, the most of any organelle. Here we see an electron micrograph of a cell with the nucleus, again, as you can see, occupying a very large portion of the cell. You see some of the other organelles that you'll be looking at in other videos, like mitochondria and other structures. You'll notice here the nucleus actually has a fairly complex substructure, things like the nucleolus, nuclear envelope, chromatin, but we're going to avoid worrying too much about the substructure and instead talk about its function. So the nucleus is often called the command center of the cell or the brain of the cell, and these are really kind of misnomers because what the nucleus actually is a box. It's just a box, it's just an office, and inside it are the important instructions. Inside it is held the DNA. Now, you may have heard DNA called the code of life. Really what DNA amounts to is the instructions or the blueprint for whatever organism that cell occupies. So in the case of a human, you have human DNA, and it decides your height, for the most part, your eye color, things like that. It's the genetic code that determines what your cells are going to be. And the nucleus is the box that holds them. So you can see here, you have those squiggles, right? And they're all wrapped up. And as we zoom in and zoom in and zoom in along this path, you get to see DNA with its little A, T, C, G, what are called base pairs. And these are basically kind of like in a binary language, zeros and ones. Here we have four options. Everything is either a T, a C, an A, or a G. Now what happens is you have this DNA inside the nucleus. Then inside the nucleus, that DNA gets turned into usable information called RNA. You see it turns the double helix into just a single helix. That RNA is then transported through the walls of your nucleus out into the cell. Once out in the cell, it interacts with the ribosome, an organelle that you can learn about in another video. By interacting with the ribosome turns the RNA into a protein. And as you know, proteins determine just about everything that your cell or your body or these organs